Okay, welcome to episode 15. Episode 15, we're gonna start on this capacitor that I showed you. So I'm about to put the epoxy in. I want to show you what I did though. So this is a 10-10-30 cap. So in order to help differentiate the 10s and the 30s, you'll see that round tab right there in the center is going to be my 30, and the square tabs are going to be my 10s. Okay, so that's the first thing I did. Then I took a piece of 26 gauge bus wire and I soldered it to the end of each other one, and I put a little pigtail on it. I also put in this cardboard spacer. So when I fill this up with epoxy, I'll basically be able to attach everything I need to these pigtails, and I won't have to worry about digging too deep in there and soldering. Okay? And this is my ground tab right here. Right there. Okay? So that's the plan. So we're going to mix epoxy, put it together, and I'll show you what it looks like. Be back. Okay, we have our cap can built here, and you can see that this is the 30 right in the center, and I have it marked here, and I have it marked with red, and then I have my two 10s on the ends right here, and then I have my ground wire connected right there. It's crimped, and it runs up here to the tops. And what we're really going to do is I put some insulation in this can just to be safe. Okay, I got the top and the sides. I'm just going to put that right over there like that. And we're going to use some of this foil tape. Now I only have this foil tape that I use for HVAC, and it has writing on it, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So we're going to take that tape and wrap it around the can, and we're good to go. So let me do that. Okay, just like that we have our can. So we're ready to put this thing back in the unit, and we'll go from there. So I have the sides marked here, 30, 10, and 10. Okay, that's all we got on this one. Be back. Okay, just to close the loop on this cap, we've got it mounted back in the unit, and now I'm going to connect all the wires. So that's back. Be back. Hey everybody, let me give you an update. So we have our can installed here, and I put all the tubes in for the first time. And I was doing some final checks before giving it the first power up. Remember, I've never powered this unit up before, so I have no idea if it works. And unfortunately, I found something that's not too cool. So let me explain what that is. Let me move the camera. Be right back. So before I powered it on, I always make sure that the speaker is good, right? I do the battery test and all that. This particular speaker has a field coil, obviously, because this is an older radio from 1939, and I did a test of the field coil, and guess what? It's open. Not good. So I then inspected a little bit further, and here's a little piece of wire that should be connected somewhere in there. So this is a 1400 ohm field coil, 5-inch speaker, and I can't use it. So I'm going to have to come up with a plan on how I'm going to deal with that. I could do a look around and see if I could find a 5-inch speaker with a 1400 ohm field coil. Excuse me, took a cup of coffee there. Or I could convert it to a permanent magnet speaker, and I'd have to put a 1400 ohm resistor in place here. That's going to be pretty beefy and going to generate a lot of heat and a choke. So I'm still kind of thinking through that, what I'm going to do. But that's kind of the standstill that I'm at now. So everything's been recapped in the radio, and theoretically it should be good to go. There is a few resistors I still need to change, but we're at a standstill because of the speaker. Now I could try to be brave and recoil it. I could try that. I'd have to take the whole thing apart. I'd have to recone it, the whole bit. I mean, it would need to be completely redone. And I'm not sure if I could do that, and it's going to end up costing me money probably to have someone do it. And I did check, and you know, there's a guy that repairs these things, and he wants like $100 or something to do it. That's not worth it. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to look around and see what I can come up with, but that's kind of where I am. One other thing I want to show you before I wrap this up, because I'm at a standstill, is when I did my can yesterday, some of you had comments about JB Weld containing metallic pieces, and I had thought about that as well when I when I purchased it yesterday. And I did take a look at the back, and it doesn't say anything about metallic pieces in there. But what I went with is this heavy-duty epoxy instead of JB Weld. And the ingredients of this, there's nothing in here that I can think of that has any metal. Of course, I did do a full continuity test before I put everything back together in the radio. But that's what I ended up using, and it worked out really, really well. One thing I'll say is when I filled up that base with the epoxy, the base got really hot. You got to remember, I put like maybe a 1/4 inch of epoxy in there. So of course there is a chemical reaction, and that's what was happening. But I was a little worried about that for a moment. It got pretty hot. Hot that you couldn't even touch the piece. So this is what I used. This stuff worked really well. So of course I've got enough here to last me forever now, so I won't have any problem in the future. So that's where I am with my projects. I'm still waiting for the tube sockets for the 5R41. And by the way, I opened up. I didn't save it, unfortunately. And let me change my battery because my battery's going to die. Be right back. Okay, so anybody, what I wanted to tell you was about the tube sockets that I took out of the 5R41. So I pried them open, and I wanted to see what was in the middle. So they both had carbon traces, and our good friend John from Arkansas shared a secret with me that those types of phenolic two-piece tube sockets are notorious for carbon traces. And he mentioned that they are caused by cleaning solvents, dust, grease, just usage. And my tube sockets had that. One of them also did have a solder flow, though, going between the pins. So my assumption was correct. So theoretically, I'm going to replace all the sockets. If I have carbon traces on two, you know I have it on the other two. So I'm going to go ahead and replace those other two as well. So I'm kind of at a standstill here. So I guess I'll take a few days off for New Year's and come back in the new year, unless I get some parts delivered. But until then, we're good. And, you know, if I come up with a good solution for this speaker, I'll let you know, and I'll come back and put up a short video. But this thing is toast. There's no way to fish around this thing and find the wires. It's just broken. It's old. You know, this is kind of like a one of those Philco green diseases things. So anyway, that's the story with this radio. Now I do have a headphone jack in this thing, and I don't know if I can use the radio with just a headphone jack, but it's going to be looking for this resistance. It's going to be looking for the 1400, so I'm not going to take any chances. So that's the plan. If I don't see you before New Year's, Happy New Year. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Stay home. I have a gig personally, so I'll be out playing on New Year's Eve. But that's the plan, my friends. I'll see you guys around. One other thing I want to show you about this radio that's a little unique, at least for me, is the way that the field coil is. So if you look here on the schematic, the speaker field coil right here, this right here, attaches to the 30 microfarad electrolytic and the 10 microfarad electrolytic. It goes right to the field coil. And then when you come up here, I'll scroll down, there's the rest of it. So there's the output transformer, this is the headphone jack, and this is the speaker. The output transformer has one side connected to the speaker already, and the other side is a floating wire because of the headphone jack. So it's a little bit unique. I've not seen a design like that before. So just wanted to make sure I shared that with you. It's a little bit weird if you look at it, but once you study it for a bit, it's pretty easy. Okay, take care, folks.